much I love you, never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever.
Ever wondered what a fortress is in chess, my friends, and how it might be utilised to save an otherwise lost game? Well, chess expert David Luscomb from Chess64 explains the concept beautifully. From this game from the 2005 United States Championship between Grandmaster Grigory Serper and Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura. So dig this, my chess friends.
Welcome all my chess fans to another exciting video on Chess64 YouTube site. Thank you for watching these videos, subscribing, and sharing them as well. Alright, so this is an endgame position that was reached in the 2005 US Chess Championship. It's a very important game. On the right side of the board, we have Grigory Serper, a top-level Grandmaster who at the time was rated at 2542. On the black side of the board, we have America's #1 player, Hikaru Nakamura, and at the time he was rated at 2620. So these two players are pretty evenly matched. But as we can see here, after the 78th move, Black has a slight plus here. He has the only long-range piece, the bishop, and he has a much better position for the king. Black controls more space, and White's knight on f1 and the knight on g4 are pretty passive. In addition to that, White has this weak, isolated e3 pawn, which happens to be on the same color square as Black's bishop. So that pawn can come under attack. White must defend it, which is why he's devoting a lot of resources to defending it. The game continued with bishop out to c3. And I wanted to mention the theme of this video. The theme of the video is that of a pawn fortress. Often in chess we find ourselves in worse positions where we're almost losing, but if we can come up with a saving technique, then we'll be able to draw the game. And the fortress is one of those saving techniques. Essentially, it's like setting up a blockade, where even if your opponent is up by a queen, he can't break through the blockade, he can't actually win the game. It would be like taking all the pawns on the board, if White had 8 pawns and if Black had 8 pawns, and just locking up all the pawns, taking the knights off the board, and then because all the pawns are locked, neither player can get to the other side of the board. The knights are the only pieces that can hop over pawns, and because the knights are off the board, you can't break through with bishops, you can't break through with queens, and so the position is just completely locked up, and it wouldn't really matter, depending on the position, how much material you're down or up by, because the fortress is able to hold up. So that's what we're going to look at here. White continues with knight f2, then Nakamura plays knight g3 check, White captures, and at this point Nakamura was probably expecting White to resign in a few moves because White's knight is pretty much trapped. If it goes out to g4, bishop g7, the knight can't move. If the knight moves out to d1, then bishop e5 is sufficient to also trap the knight. And if the knight moves to h1, bishop e5 once again, and White is losing. So that was Nakamura's plan here. However, Grandmaster Serper he knew about this pawn fortress, that even if he would be down material, he could set it up and therefore draw the game. So he plays knight takes e4, Nakamura captures back, and then king f1. A brilliant move. The e3 pawn doesn't really matter. White can even lose the h pawn, and this fortress will be impenetrable. Bishop out to d2 could have been played. The game went on for a while, and then both players agreed to a draw. So I'm going to go a different way than how the game went. To illustrate why this is a draw, the game actually drew about 20 moves later. But let's say, what if bishop to d2 was played, king g1, bishop takes e3, king h1. And you can already begin to see this idea. Both of white's pawns are on the light colored squares. Both of black's pawns are on the dark color. So if we look at this position, the only piece that can attack white's pawns is the king, not the bishop. The bishop can't attack the pawns, so the bishop can't make any headway. So what if bishop f4, king e3, and then eventually we see king f2? Well, it can attack the pawn, but it can't win it. Even though white's king is almost in zugzwang, white can sacrifice this h pawn. If black takes it, the king's in zugzwang, and white is able to draw the game. So you might see g4, h5, maybe king e2, h6, and even if this pawn is captured, white's king is still able to hold the game against the bishop and the king. If the bishop stays on this diagonal, then it's stalemate the next move, so the bishop would have to move away. And if the king ever approaches to try and win the pawn, it is stalemate. So because this is on the edge of the board, white is able to hold this game and draw it. So this is a really awesome fortress that if you find yourself in an endgame position where you're down material, and if you can set up this fortress, then you will be able to hold the game, even being down a bishop and a pawn. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.